First of all, thank you so much for supporting the Wide Angle Podium Network. You guys are awesome, and we really appreciate it. This is Molly Herford from the Consummate Athlete podcast, and today our bonus guest is Dr. Simon Marshall, the author of The Brave Athlete. He's here to talk to us about a couple of the pitfalls that athletes can fall into in terms of mental traps and weird ways that we get stuck in our own minds. Enjoy! There are plenty of racers out there who are doing, pretty well. Like, they're getting close to their goals, they're hitting their goals, but they kind of almost have that weird, nervous because things are going too well almost, or just are kind of looking for that marginal gain, and they've already dialed their diet and their training and all that stuff. So what are a couple things that can give them a little bit of that mental edge? And I know we talked about the M word before, but
yeah, I know, right? Well, yes, absolutely. Meditation or Headspace, the app that we use, is a great one for that. But it's also, one of the things that makes athletes doubt that it's all going well now, but it's soon going to change, or they doubt their ability to enjoy that present moment, is partly confidence. If they have a history of things getting derailed, then when eventually you do come out of the turbulence and things feels good again, you're thinking, well, it's only a matter of time before it all goes away, or, so it's sort of taking your time. And this is a bit more of an existential question, I guess, that we have athletes think about. It's like, what's the whole point of it all? Why do we do this? And a lot of the time we get so preoccupied or caught up in the past and the future, and we forget about the present. That, listen, even if this doesn't last that long, I'm going to enjoy this now. Things are going well, right? And I know that the best version of me as an athlete is when I can be very present focused, right? I know that little nervousness is good for me. I know that the way to have great races is to become a little bit obsessed with the ingredients of great races, which is all the little in-the-moment decisions that you make and the technical and the tactical aspects of doing it. So that's the first thing, is that, recognize that, take time to enjoy things going well. And then you might be, some athletes have a little bit of imposter syndrome going, is that they think that they feel a little bit of a fraud deep down. This is their chimp brain telling them that, you're not this good and it's just a fluke, you've been lucky, or the reason you've done so well at these races is because your main competitors weren't there, or all the things that our imposter brain will like to tell us. And so we have to become a little bit better at swatting away some of those little chimp sabotaging thoughts. And that's why, again, meditation and passive attention is a great technique to be able to do that. So, and then I always love having a little mental flu shot. So listen, nothing's going badly. Sports psychology isn't just for when things are bad. It can be a top up. It can be some insights that can help you create a bit even more of a little vaccination against going down a rabbit hole. So these techniques are really useful for you as well. So yeah, don't worry. It's perfectly normal to worry a little bit about things not going well. That doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly be derailed.
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually made me think about this one other thing we've been kind of seeing a lot lately, is when someone has a bad race, or a race that they're not psyched on it, the post-race, or even pre-race, actually, the rationalizations that start either before the race or happen immediately after. Do you have any tips for how people can kind of get past that stage of I think my brake was rubbing, I didn't sleep very well last night, I feel a little sick, I might have had a bad oyster 3 weeks ago, etc.?
Yeah. Exactly, a dodgy shrimp that you had in a curry or something, and of course that's why. Well, listen, we all like to take personal credit for successes, and we outsource and point fingers when other things that when things don't go well, right? And that's sort of a fundamental sort of attribute of the human mind, and there's some good kind of evolutionary reasons why we do that. But I do think it's ultimately about ego protection, right? But I do think that when we do it after a race, so that the first race, the post-race autopsy, is, obviously most people don't have trouble taking responsibility for their successes. Some people with very low confidence will sort of even make reasons why they were lucky or it was a fluke or so on. But most of us are perfectly happy they'll have done the training. But if something hasn't gone well, even if it wasn't in your control, then take ownership of that as well, right? And taking ownership of it doesn't mean broadcasting it to everybody so they know why you didn't have a race. One way of taking ownership of it is not mentioning it at all, right? Mm-hmm. And so Leslie learned this strategy probably about 6 or 7 years ago, is that she might be going into races with an injury or a niggle or something that hasn't gone well, and rather than after the race, if things don't go well, say, oh, well, I've been struggling with this, that, is to not mention it, and is to try and almost, do what we would advise, the little 12-year-old inside of us is that, you take ownership of your performance, you don't make excuses. Oh, well, better luck next time, I gave it everything, and so be it. So you keep some of those things to yourself, and that's a sign that you've got a mature athletic identity. Beforehand, we do all these kind of cognitive acrobatics where we self-sabotage ahead of time, and because we want them, just in case things don't go well, I'm going to make sure there are some reasons that people know ahead of time, right? Mm-hmm. And it's intensely annoying to be around people who do that. When we do it, we don't notice it, right? Because we're just talking what we think are genuine reasons why it might not go well today. But it's so obvious to us when we're around other people that do it. So there's a little bit of a paradox for you, right? So you don't like it when other people are making all these excuses. So don't do it yourself. So try and sort of focus on the things that are going to lead to good performances, all the effort and attitude and the tactical and the technical preparation you've done and that kind of stuff. And take all those other things, the controlling the controllables is the sort of little cliched mantra of coaches. So if it's not in your control, but it happened, ignore it, don't mention it, don't keep talking about it as the reason, only explain what's going to happen and what did happen based on things that are in your control. So it's kind of putting your big girl and big boy pants on about that too, right? And this ultimately, because it's ego defense, it's about our fundamental relationship with failure. None of us like to lay everything out on the line and it doesn't go well, because you know what, that's the worst situation for your ego to be in, because you did everything you could and you still weren't good enough. What does that say about you? You're a failure, right? So no one wants to be in that situation, so we always give ourselves a little out. So we have to fundamentally change our relationship with failure. And there are some great books that have been written to help you do this. One is called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She's a Stanford psychologist. About moving from a fixed mindset about our relationship with failure to a growth mindset, and seeing it as like a sculptor. You're sculpting away, and each race is a little chip at this thing that you're creating. You stand back, no, I need to go back and chip here and chip there. No single event, no single race, no single performance defines your ability. It's a process. And so you go into races often thinking, well, I need to test out this strategy that might end in a catastrophic failure. well, so what, right? You need to be brave before you can be good. So you learn things about yourself. You need to over tighten a screw occasionally to know how tight the screw can go. So look at races like that. It's an opportunity for great feedback to tell you what you need to do different next time to be a little bit better. And that's the way that you string, if you string enough races together and you look at races through that lens, you'll end up being in the place that you want to be, having those great races where you're really getting the most out of your potential and they feel good and you've done everything did go well.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. That's every scenario that could ever possibly happen, I'm sure. But just in case athletes need a little bit more, tell everyone where they can find you and get your book and all that fun stuff.
Yes, they can get to us, me or Leslie, through our website, which is braveheartcoach.com. And we have a little SMOG test on there that they can fill out. And we'll call them back. We'll talk about your training or stuff that you're struggling with. We're not trying to recruit you as clients or athletes, just to talk through stuff. We love chatting through this stuff as well. We're kind of nerdy about it. And then for our book, The Brave Athlete, you can get it on all the places that they sell books, Amazon and Audible and so on. There's an audio book as well, and athletes generally have been telling us that it's a great little training aid to get through those long runs or long trainer sessions or in the car when you're driving to races. So use it as a sort of a little training aid as well. It's not just turning pages, but you can listen to it. We've narrated it, Leslie and I, so unfortunately, so you might have to cope with our hard voices. We're kind of a bit, we're not professional voiceover or narrators, but we did our best, and it was kind of fun to do. So it's us actually talking the talk.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I'd heard you mention that on another podcast recently, and I was like, oh, I need to get that, even though I've read the book like probably 5 times now. I'm still like, I can still listen to it. We've got a long drive coming up, so awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and not just for the accent.
You've got the accent, Molly, not me, so that's okay. Well, listen, it's a pleasure as always.
All right, have a safe trip to Europe. Tell Leslie good luck from us, and yeah, I'll keep you posted on
Will
the
do.
episode. Thank you.
I will do. Thanks, my love. Bye.
Bye.